Have you ever lost a fight, and while you're walking back from spawn, you realize that one player on your team, Psylocke, hasn't died yet, and they're still way behind enemy lines? You and your team rush to get back into position and start another fight, but before you can even get close, the enemy team hunts down your teammate and unceremoniously executes them, leaving you and your team to either start a 5v6 or waste time waiting until they've respawned. Now, instead, consider a world where they just jumped off the map as soon as they realized they were the last person alive, and respawned at the same time as the rest of your team. They may catch a few "lol, idiot" comments in the chat, and the scoreboard may give them another death, but wouldn't you say you have a better chance of winning in that scenario? There are two kinds of Marvel Rivals players: delusional players, and players who understand that performance-based ranked points isn't a good idea. Whether or not you agree with what I just said, I'm going to use this video to try to prove it to you. The entire point of having performance-based ranked points falls apart if your scoreboard and stat tracking system do a terrible job of assessing whether or not you helped your team win the game. So let's talk about all the ways the scoreboard does a terrible job of assessing whether or not you helped your team win. If you are a Marvel Rivals player, you have most likely been gaslit into thinking elims, final blows, damage, assists, healing, deaths, and damage blocked are not only good indicators of performance, but the primary things that matter. You have been lied to. I made an entire video deconstructing why each of these numbers individually could be pretty awful, but let's instead look at every way the scoreboard straight up lies to you, genuinely. I've chosen to forego some of the usual arguments people bring up of concepts like positioning, callouts, and other more complicated concepts the scoreboard can't even hope of measuring, and instead we're just going to take a look at specifically things the scoreboard just straight up gets completely wrong, that it has no reason to whatsoever. In fact, by the end of the video, I want to explain to you that you actually can measure skill, but we'll get to that in a bit. Before we start, it would really mean the world to me if you'd like and subscribe. It helps out a lot and means I'll be reunited with Oink and my family again sooner. I want to do an update video on the whole story and where we're at now, but it's a gaming channel, so I'm at least a bit hesitant. Let me know if you would like that. Okay, let's hop into things. We've already gotten one example out of the way: tactical resetting. For whatever reason, Marvel Rivals players have been gaslit into worrying about going negative so much that the second their entire team dies, some of them will cosplay Rick Grimes and do everything in their power to survive the 1v6 onslaught while the enemy team tries to hunt them down Liam Neeson style. Sure, if they get out, maybe they can save your team a second or two since they would have been the last person to die, maybe, but most of the time this just results in a terrible situation for one less death, potentially. Let's move on, however, to one idea I feel like half of all Duelist players have never even considered for a moment: feeding ult charge, also known as garbage damage. While farming up your offensive ultimate as fast as you can is great, and poking the enemy can put pressure on them, either preventing them from taking space or even possibly leading to a kill for your team, pumping the enemy tank full of lead can actually hurt your team too. If you've got your Punisher ult, and your team is still regrouping after having lost a fight, but the enemy Venom is sitting just outside of cover, shaking his rump at you with everything he's got, do you fall for the bait? Obviously that's just free damage for you, right? Wrong. Shoot him, and the enemy Venom may have just duped you into being his team's 7th player. If you really don't have the opportunity to kill an enemy tank, and know they are within sight of their healers, consider waiting patiently for your team instead, because they may be baiting for support ult charge. The difference between winning and losing your next team fight may come down to whether or not their Luna gets her ult in time, and you fighting over the MVP title and the highest damage medal may be the thing that helps her get it. On the flip side of this, we have a scenario where you should be shooting, and some players seem to just avoid it. Yet again, I understand why these players do this. The scoreboard rewards them for it. There's actually a lot of things you can do that are both a waste of your time and even personal safety, at least according to the scoreboard, as it will punish you for paying attention to these things and risking your life for some of them, instead focusing on just getting higher damage and higher kill stats. The one I'd like to start with is so important, and I wish everyone would understand this, but please shoot shields. Now, don't get me wrong, if you have a perfectly clear shot on an enemy, especially a high priority target, I'm not saying to waste that opportunity and just pump your lead into a shield instead, but if those high priority targets are behind a shield, you should absolutely 100% be shooting that shield as best as you reasonably can. Remember, that shield has an HP bar, and if you just let it stay up, and let other people on your team break it, or just let it never go down, you are going to lose so many opportunities to get kills overall. Maybe you just end up breaking the shield so the other DPS can get a headshot or ult kill, giving them MVP when you would have had it instead, but understand that you would have never won that fight if you were selfish and just focused on the scoreboard. Yet another reason we shouldn't trust ranked points with performance. Now, try to look at this from the complete opposite perspective. Say you are Strange, Emma, or Groot. The scoreboard would reward you for just throwing your shields and walls out in the open, where there isn't anyone for them to block for. It may even be tempting to do this in down moments, knowing that your ranked points could be affected, but what happens if the enemy pushes in before you get a chance to fully heal your shield? Shields are important tools for holding space and protecting your team, and there is a massive difference between damage blocked in a crucial moment when you can stop an ultimate, and a shield just sitting around a corner in the open blocking for absolutely no reason. But yet again, stats see no difference here and instead reward bad play. Now I want you to imagine you had a 100% chance of eliminating an enemy player that would otherwise live, but like a 30% chance of dying in the process. Would you take that risk? Obviously that sounds like a great deal, but the scoreboard sees this as a 30% risk for absolutely nothing, just you potentially feeding. What scenario am I actually describing? Dangerously pushing to kill Res Beacon. Let's face it, Res Beacon is basically a free life, and especially if it's a guarded spot, pushing it can be dangerous. 30% was just a random number I chose, but the number doesn't matter. The point is that you get absolutely no gain whatsoever on the scoreboard, in fact it's considered wasted time, and yet you can save a match if you look for the Res Beacon. This same concept applies for any priority construct target, whether it be Penny Nest or Unks. Letting other people focus on them while you pad stats is absolutely rewarded by the scoreboard, while doing the right thing gets you lower stats. I want to give you another scenario. Let's say you're on support and your tank is at about half health, but they're walking back to spawn as you're walking out, because they don't want to wait for your silly ass heals to get them to full. They're impatient and want spawn to do it. You can probably get most of their health before they make it in, but it's not like there's any emergency to do so right now. The enemy team is pretty far away. Obviously the right answer here is to just throw out some extra healing on them. I mean, what else are you going to do right now? It's not like healing is going to slow you down, might as well get some extra stats. Now, instead, consider that you're smart and you check the other support's ult charge and see that they don't have theirs yet. You could give those precious extra ult points to them and potentially save your next fight just because you did something selfless. This isn't going to happen every match, but you'd be surprised how often you do get a down moment where you can give the ult charge to the other support. This is the difference between playing to win and playing for performance stats. Playing the right way can punish you on the scoreboard, and playing the wrong way can reward you, sometimes a lot. Have you ever lost a fight and while you're on the death screen, seen your silly ass Iron Fist pop his ult despite the fact the fight is currently a 2v5? In fact, you may even be impressed as he gets 3 kills with it, only to then lose the fight because of course he does, it was a 2v5 to begin with. Iron Fist may have just secured ace with that play, especially given the game thinks so highly of final blows, but good players will know that he just wasted a potentially game-winning ult for absolutely nothing. It's not even like you can push with that man advantage right now because he just happened to die with your other tank, and they're still respawning. This is called hero ulting, and despite the cool name, it's essentially throwing, but in a way that the scoreboard sees as a good play. Want another example like this? Playing like a little final blow damage farming gremlin who doesn't actually win games but gets SVP every game? Well, consider the point. Wait, actually, don't. Consider a world where you don't consider the point, and see it as a menial task for the background characters in your life. You are the star. You are the one who carries the game. You are the SVP king, and it's your job to push up and get those kills wherever they are, regardless of where the point is. This is precisely what I hear when people comment about how good performance-based rank gains are. This is what you look like. We've already addressed this next one in another video before, but if you really want to farm support stats, imagine the other support is invisible to you specifically. Ignore them completely, and I guarantee you your chance of having the highest heals and assists skyrockets. Now, it may feel intuitive to you to heal the other support, but if you really think performance-based gains are good, that's just poor play. Remember, the enemy support, oops, Freudian slip, the ally support on your team is just a leech that's there to take half of the healing you do. What's more, if you actually help them while they're being dove or pressured, do you know what the most likely thing to happen is? Those divers are going to aim for you instead. It's simple diver psychology. Me dive support number 2. Support 2 gets saved by support 1. Me dive support 1 now. Sure, you could just heal them and hope they heal you, but that's really putting a lot of faith in the random support you just happened to queue into. Do you really expect them to do the same for you in all or even the majority of cases? Especially when it would be so easy to just take all the heals and let them fall to pieces? Performance-based rank gains beckon. Finally, it's a minor thing, but slurping up every health pack you ever can is yet another way you can hurt your chances of winning while helping your scoreboard stats. My go-to thought for this is normally, if I'm not actually at risk of dying, I should find my supports rather than find a health pack. And only use health packs when I feel I'm actually in danger. But you could go a step further and consider deeper situations. For example, have you ever been playing support and taken up a position with a long-range DPS near a health pack, only for the two of you to get dove, and in the moment you were trying to heal your teammate up while you are both on the brink of death, and they take the health pack that would have inevitably kept both of you up? Maybe they end up surviving, and maybe they were worried you wouldn't have enough heals to keep them up, or maybe they're just Cro-Magnon whose thought process doesn't go beyond me shoot guy. But yet again, playing for their own scoreboard has gotten in the way of them having the best chance of them winning the game. The point of all of this is to show that this idea of tracking stats to try to reflect tracking skill just leads to rewarding playing in a way that doesn't actually lead to winning. And I mean, if that's what Rivals wants to be, a game about doing very specific things, where winning isn't actually the end goal, I guess it can be. I mean, I know other games like this, but typically they aren't team-based shooters. I don't think that's just a conflict of genre. I think that's because that's never what Rivals intended. They just set up this system hoping to alleviate some pleas of a flawed way of thinking. That flawed way of thinking is that anyone is at their specific rank because of their teammates in any way, shape, or form. I understand why people have this perception. I mean, EOMM absolutely must make this worse, along with things like rank decay and everyone starting in bronze, all things we've talked about before. But nobody has ever been hard stuck at any rank because of their teammates. They get hard stuck because they look at the game in a fundamentally flawed way, something perpetuated and exacerbated by this archaic and flawed form of scoreboard, and only now goaded on by the performance-based SR. You can measure skill, and almost every other game has had absolutely no trouble with this. It's by measuring wins and losses. If you're doing things that lead to a win, you are skilled. And if you're doing things that lead to a loss, you are unskilled. Obviously, game to game, you run into scenarios where you lose and it wasn't your fault, or win and it wasn't because of you, but the trend is always that the only thing that should be the same across all of your matches is that you are in them. So if you find yourself stuck at a certain rank over a long period of time, the problem isn't that your teammates are terrible, it's that you haven't played as skillfully as those who climbed their way out of the exact same situation you are in now. That's not a roast, that's just the situation for everyone. And especially now, how much time you have to play, or your PC setup, or your internet, or any number of things, can affect your ability to make this push out of your rank. But performance-based skill doesn't fix any problems. It's a mistaken way of thinking that solves a problem that doesn't exist, and rewards stupid things that don't make sense. No one is smart for liking performance-based ranking. I have doubts they are capable of deep thought. But what are we supposed to do? Again, this is all we can do. Just say something. Talk about it. Spread the word about it. Just say something. People seem to talk about Marvel Rivals dying and stuff right now, and as much as I think this is overplayed and not something to worry about too much, this is the thing that's killing the game, if anything. And I'm going to talk about it, because I like the game. People say stupid things like, oh, you should just enjoy the game. I do. If I didn't, I wouldn't say anything. I'd play Overwatch, like gosh, isn't that obvious? Why are some people so obsessed with never complaining? Like the one time they condone it is to complain about other people complaining. Like genuinely such odd behavior. But for real, if you want this game to be successful, please do share this video. It helps me a lot, and it can help our game. Okay, thank you so much for watching, friends. It really means the world to me. Please like and subscribe. I want to see you next time I make a video. Oh, and please comment. Add your voice to this. It helps the video get more engagement, and even if you don't think so, your ideas and thoughts and feelings matter. We're a team in all of this. Even if it's just to say you love openq, those comments make my day. A super special thank you to James, Cammy, Archduke, Wiseful, Bob Saget, Totally a Diva, and Scott. You make the channel possible. If you want to be a part of that list, please join the channel. Okay friends, see you next time. Bye!